All right. So you have to use a root group with custom roles enabled. What is this MR you're looking
Yeah,
at?
let me show you. Just make sure there's nothing you don't want to see on my screen. It's all good.
Mhm.
So yeah, there's some testing notes here for staging, and I have basically become stuck on this step here, verifying on production.
Mhm. Mhm.
It was suggested to me to use the GitLab org group,
Ah,
but when I try just this first like get request against the GitLab org group, I just get a 403.
yeah. Um, so okay. My first question is, you said you're testing it on production.
It's verification for this issue, so I just need to verify that the fix is out on production now, and I just need to run the verification steps as part of our workflow to
This
ensure
is
that it's done.
It's fascinating. I'm fascinated that you have a verification step. My team does not have that.
Ah, I,
So
I
I'm
always
learning something new
assumed
already.
I assumed this was a GitLab wide
I think it should
process.
be, sort of. But
It should
Sometimes
be.
I really don't. Like, I really wish didn't have to do this now.
Yeah. Okay.
Because
Well,
it's hard.
I think on our team, it's assumed that you do your own verification. So Mo, I think, was the author of this MR that made
Yeah.
this change. And so if he were on the auth team, I would expect that he would verify that it works on production. So
We
it's kind of cool that you trade like
yeah.
that.
We do that too. Or I certainly verify
yeah,
my own ones before, but then we unassign ourselves and then the bot will assign a random member from the team to verify.
works almost similar in
Probably there we go.
blinds. Yeah.
Okay. That is so interesting.
Hmm.
It's possible that we're supposed to do that and I just never knew about it. So today I learned. I'll make sure to ask my engineering manager about that. So I mean, first of all, these instructions aren't that precise. I mean, a custom roles license is just something you get with Ultimate. So custom roles is an Ultimate feature. If you wanted to check that in the future, I always have to look up where licenses are kept. Let me look up.
One quick interjection is it seems like it's a setup for staging. Did you adjust the group IDs
Mm,
Yeah,
if you
so
tried on production?
I created a group myself.
Okay.
Just initially I created, because it says it has to be a root group, so
Yeah.
I created a root group, tried it, got a 403 on there, and then I had actually asked in Slack this same question of like any hints on how to find or
mhm.
create one of these for production, because I got stuck on that step, and somebody else said GitLab org should work, so I did switch out the
Okay.
GitLab org group ID here, and I think I don't have that in the terminal anymore, but
So I know what the issue is, or like I'm pretty sure I know what the issue is, which is that you need to be a group owner. So that's part of what's missing here. You need to not just have a license,
yeah.
an ultimate license. Hey, Smitty, I'm at custom roles. Uh, uh,
Hi.
I you need
Hey,
to not just have a ultimate license, but you also need to be an owner to see the custom roles or to manage the custom roles. So
Right.
that's why you're getting a 404. The good news in terms of being able to quickly help you is that I have test groups for custom roles, and I can just add you to them.
Oh,
Yeah. So I think that I don't know what the best way to like share that information in the future with people would be, but I think that is a helpful you know, to make people shouldn't have to set up their own test group every time they're testing the feature, right? Like it's just,
Yeah.
so you should be able to test it more easily. So I can add you to that group. And then you won't be stuck on this step anymore.
I mean, that would probably be enough for me, and I don't think necessarily it's a bit of a humdrum thing to be going through as a group here. So
Yeah.
if you can unblock me with that part, that would be a huge help for me tomorrow.
Okay.
Basically.
And that's on staging and production. You're going to test this?
I'll probably just test on production.
Okay. I just invite you to the staging group, but let me do the
I
production.
think Mo's almost certainly done it on staging already. So
Oh, I see. Well, I'm glad that we could have this conversation. And I just
thank
learned
you.
something new. Smriti, do we have a process for QAing other people's work on production, like doing the verification step?
No, I don't think so. It's documented anywhere.
Yeah, we've never done that, but both of the other people on this call, that's part of their team process, which is really interesting because it's not part of ours, but maybe it should be.
It should be, yeah. It will be really good to have a eye of someone who has not developed the feature to QA it on the production, no doubt.
Mm-hmm.
Probably we can propose it as where should we propose it? Maybe I'll talk to Adil about this.
Yeah, exactly. Put it in like a retro or something or a
Yes,
team
yes.
update. Quickly, Malcolm, do you want your malloc username or your malloc username?
Oh, Malloc, please.
I'm making you an owner of this custom roles group, so you should just get an invite. So
Awesome,
fantastic.
thank you.
Okay. So, Smriti, did you bring anything you want to work on in particular? I had an idea of a refactor we could do together, but it's just kind of like for fun.
No, not exactly. Actually, there is not much on my plate today. I'm just hoping to work on some interesting problem with other people in today's session. So I have some documentation updates in MR, so those I'll be working on mainly.
Okay, cool. Okay, let me share my screen. And again, if my internet starts acting up, just tell me and I'll go to my Ethernet situation. This is kind of a fun one. So have you all seen this MR about avoiding active record callbacks? Got merged today or yesterday.
No,
I haven't seen it. No.
Okay, cool. So this is fun. So I wrote this, but that's just agree it's okay. There was a lot of conversation on it over the course of several weeks. And it's basically a recommendation to, in general, avoid active record callbacks. So active record callbacks are really easy to add and then really difficult to refactor. And there are a lot of reasons for that. There was an amazing table that Peter Lightson put together. Let me see if I can find it down here in some of the 68 comments of how many callbacks we have on each of our classes. Project has 878.
Holy.
That is counting validations, which I would argue are fine. Like I find validations to be helpful and unsurprising. What's a little more surprising is like you create a project and then like 18 things get created over here and you don't even know what it was because it's an invisible process. So it's unlikely we're ever going to get rid of all of these. So, but the point of this MR is just like, hey, when you're adding a callback, like ask yourself the question, could this be somewhere else? Could this not be a callback? And so I think the consensus was people are like, okay, we can do that. And the risk is, of course, I've already had several conversations with people who are like, oh no, I got an MR with a callback and like the person doesn't want to move it. Like, what do I do? And I'm like, it's okay. Like just accept and move on. Like we don't have to turn every callback MR into it's not a blocker, I would say. It's more just like, let's stop and consider our options. And so this already came up in an MR. Somebody avoided me to this MR. And this person is adding a callback. Let me just show you the code. It's pretty small. That's why I thought it might be fun to do this refactor together because it's pretty easy to understand what's happening here and then to think about how you might refactor it. So they're adding a callback to the BandUser model, which is a user has one BandUser. We create this record after a user is banned. And then this is the after commit callback, and it asynchronously goes through and marks all of their merge requests as author banned. And then I guess there's also an unflag. So if the user becomes unbanned, we unmark all of their merge requests as author banned. So anyways, there was a good conversation over here with the author about why he put it in a callback. And again, that's fine that it's in a callback, but I thought it would be fun to, in a separate branch, like in a brand new branch, see how difficult it would be to refactor. This hasn't been merged yet, but to like do the refactor that's going to be necessary to fix the issue that he identified. So that's kind of the background to this. So yeah, that's the concept.
So do we have like some sort of guidelines when exactly should we add callbacks and when exactly should we not add callbacks?
Yeah, in the style guide MR, there is a list of situations when callbacks make sense here. And then there is an example of like refactoring a callback. It's a really simple example, so you know, into a service. But that being said, you know, it's easy to write a style guideline and sometimes harder to like do what it says. So I think that's also a valuable like experience to be like, okay, here's a callback. Like, how would I actually do this refactor, and to see what we learned through that process, and maybe that requires an update to the style guide. You know, with some further instructions or ideas. So
are we actually working on this actively to get rid of as many callbacks as possible?
No, so it says that right at the top here is or I tried to. We already have so many. We're not trying to remove all of them. It's more just, you know, if you see an opportunity to remove one, go for it. And as you add new logic, you know, consider not adding it in a callback if possible. So we're not trying to remove it. So this exercise is not like, this is the beginning of removing thousands of callbacks. That would be really, really rough. This is more just, okay, how do we do this? And this issue, and the issue that comes up when you want to remove a callback, right, is that there's some refactoring that needs to happen first, right? So you have to make the change easy, and then you make the easy change. And so we're doing this a little bit in the reverse order here, but I'm curious to see how difficult it is. So it all starts with calling ban on user. So I want to take a look at the user model. And not that. With a def ban. I don't see that. Def self. Hold on, you all. This is a problem with Zoom. I'm like things always my way. Self.ban. Okay, so I don't see the ban model in user. Ugh. This is already challenging. So where do we ban a user? Oh, ban and report maybe. Where does ban and report get called? Oh, from block or ban. Where does block or ban get called? Delete async. So that's different. This is like if we're deleting user, we want to just know if we are banning users normally. So banned. So event ban. I guess I don't really understand. I don't know much about how these event blocks work. Does anybody else know? This seems like some kind of a state machine situation.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
looks like state machine.
And
There
are we
should be
using
a
the
ban
state
bang
machine?
method then. Yeah.
Ban bang.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I don't
Being
see
called
that.
somewhere.
Or okay, I was being
Yeah.
called somewhere, but it kind of is. What's the word? It's like metaprogramming. Are there that's like library code that kind of defines the ban bang method
Yeah,
because we have
it
event
should.
ban.
Yeah,
Okay. So let's see.
that should be part of active state machine, I think. Yeah.
I think it usually hooks in like quite often hooks in with status enums and creates the scopes for those as well and stuff.
So it looks like the way that we call user.ban. So everything in here is in a spec file, right? Except for this worker. So we have one place where we call user.ban. I do not want to print terminal yet again. I used to have that disabled, but I think that was an old computer, old iTurn. So if the user is effectively banned, then we do some other stuff. So this ban calls to here. So we got, and then that transitions the state to banned, which triggers an event machine after transition callback for active banned. Oh, I see. So there's a transition for active to banned. Where would I find that callback? Is it actually called after transition? Yep. Here we go. After transition, the active to banned, and then it creates a banned user. And this was something that Terry and I, when we were discussing this yesterday, realized. We were like, what is create banned user? Create banned user is just like a little syntactic sugar thing that Rails gives you because user has one banned user. So you can call like user.build banned user or user.create banned user. So that was a fun example of
Good to know. I've been looking for that for ages. Yeah.
Yeah, I think, yeah, we did like end up going and like calling .source location to figure out where it was called, and it was like in the Rails internals. So this is basically just calling, in this transition, it's calling like user.create banned user, and then that creates a banned user record where we are adding like an after commit whatever method. So the question is, how would we even start to think about refactoring this flow and making it so that we could call this whatever method not in a callback?
I mean, from my point of view, often the motivation to moving to service class architecture in a Rails application is so that you don't have to rely on callbacks. Because you get this, one of the other confusing things about callbacks is like, what order are those 270 callbacks on project going to run in? Who knows? Whereas the service class gives you a linear progression through any task you want to run. So that would be my first place to go, is like, okay, where's the service class for banning a user? Do we pull it into there?
Yes, good question.
We actually have a banned user service class.
User service, we do. Where is this called? It's the base class for ban service. And we call the ban service isn't this where we started?
Yeah.
Isn't this where we started? Anyways, okay, like here's the admin controller. I, again, do not want to print. And Okay, ban service. So we call ban service. What does ban service do? Also, is this big enough? Sorry, folks, if I'm popping around and you can't tell. Can you see?
I can't
okay?
comment.
Yeah,
Also,
okay.
via user, this seems normal to me, but I've
Okay,
heard
I have
other
a big
people express
screen.
different opinions.
Yeah. I can make it
Looks
bigger.
fine to me.
Okay. Let me know. Or if I'm like clicking around too fast sometimes. Okay, so the ban method calls ban service dot execute. Execute is not defined here. It's defined in BandUser service. This does a permissions check. It looks for if there's a state error. It calls update user, which is, I assume, defined in the ban service class itself. Yes, it just calls user.ban.
Yep.
Nice. And now no bang, which is surprising a little bit.
Oh, yeah,
Maybe?
true.
Tracks an event and it has success. So I suppose, yeah. So we have this service. What would be the downside of calling, like, you know, user, like,
Trigger that background job. Yeah.
yeah. What is the problem with doing that here? Why does that need to be done as a callback on the BandUser class? It seems like there's a description here, so that's why. If we move it to the ban unburned service level, we have to handle any potential state change failures as well as shove even more code. Well, this isn't true because this isn't the user model, it's a service, but state change failure. So what would a state change failure be?
I think because we're checking for the success in the last, I mean, what if it is not a success? Do you think we will still schedule the background job?
No, I don't think so. I don't know where the success is defined, probably in the base service. I think success
I think
is
that
just,
would be just the success message or something, I suppose.
yeah, I don't know where that's defined. This is the one thing.
I think that
Okay,
just
then
returns a service
Yeah.
response success.
service response.
Mhm.
Okay,
If
so
update user, anyways, we are doing update user log event, track event. Yeah, we can run the background job here. Yeah. Because we are logging only if the update user is successful.
if update user, my gosh, sorry. Okay. And I guess one thing I don't know about state machine is when we call user.ban, would that immediately raise an error if it was a state change that wasn't valid?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I guess I'm not really seeing why this couldn't happen here. Like why we couldn't take the logic in here, and there must be something I'm not thinking of or not aware of. Why couldn't we just call this in here?
Yeah, I don't see any reason there.
Yeah. Because at this point we would know that this already succeeded. You know what I should have done is maybe I'll still do this. I'll pull this branch in. You know what I mean? Like pull this branch in and then build on top of it, because then we can actually like see if it works. Because I feel like it should be able to just move there. I guess we won't know until we try. I'm gonna go onto this. Make sure I have the latest changes. Add test coverage for new service. That looks right. Yes, okay. And then I'm gonna create a new branch on top of this. So if we go in and we open this BandUser, wow. We take this, we draw this, and we open the EE app services, users, and service here. So if we can just call this in here, or not in here, sorry, in the BandUser service, is that right?
In the band service. Yeah, here.
Well,
Yeah.
in here. So we've tracked an event, and then we have to call this guy, and we don't have to call this anymore.
Just need to change to user.id.
Ah, thank you. User.id, we perform that. I would assume there's also like an Unban service.
Yeah. Yep.
There we go. And then there's also a base class here. Oh, wait.
Yeah, it's the same. So we'll have to like
Ooh.
use template method.
We'll have to put it in the update user.
Does that make sense? I mean, we're not really updating the user, but I guess it's not. We could rename it.
Yeah, or add another method.
Yeah.
Update ban. I don't know.
Okay, so in the ban service, we're calling ban, and then the unban service, we're calling
Yeah.
unban. We are
You just
getting
might
rid
need
of
to
these.
the base class is relying on the, it looks like it's relying on the return value of user ban or unban. So I'm not sure if we schedule the worker there that would.
Okay. Oh, you're right. So maybe what we do instead is we say, we create a new method like somebody mentioned before.
Yeah,
So
like update ban state or something. Yeah. For lack of a better name.
Yeah. Yeah, wait. It's kind of funny. This is the update BandUser flags service. It's kind of, I mean, I don't want to put apart the name. I just was like, what does flag mean? I think it's just marking merge requests. So we say update user merge requests. And then we do that for this too. Like that. And then we call that
user.id again on that other side as well.
Oh, thank you. Oh, how did that get? And then this is the base service, BandUser base service. We call update user. So if update user, then we can say update user merge requests. Seems like having user a lot here. Maybe we could use current user. Oh, I guess current user is the person taking the action. They wouldn't be banning themselves. That would just be very kind of them if they did that, but I don't think probably happens very often. Be like, I'm a bad actor. Ban me.
I can point out maybe we might get some race conditions here with this option.
Okay.
Because I think no. I'm just concerned that the other callback was after commit.
It was after commit.
So I'm just worried about what other callbacks might be triggered. So using after commit, it might have been guaranteed to run a whole load of callbacks before it got called into the after commit, whereas with this refactor, I'm not sure that we can guarantee that, but I think we can. I think it'll be okay. Sorry.
And by
Just
other
thinking out loud.
callbacks, are you thinking about other callbacks that would be called after a user is banned, like user model callbacks, or other kinds of callbacks?
Yeah, well, just anything that's attached to save on the user, basically, because because the callback was an after commit. It's like it's fully committed the transaction.
Yeah,
I still think we'll be safe. Sorry, yeah, don't worry, carry on.
Well, what makes you so sure?
Because I think the save will still be complete.
Oh,
from
okay.
update user.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, that's a good. Unless no, I was gonna say unless there's a callback on user that's run asynchronously, but if that were the case, then after commit wouldn't help
Still
us
have the
in that
same problem.
scenario.
Yeah.
Okay, so far this has not been that painful, I would say. Which either means we're missing something huge or we got lucky. Or both.
Can we just check through Robert's comments again? Because he wrote quite a lot. I didn't get the chance to read all of it.
Yeah.
There may be something in there that we're missing.
Oh. Huh? So when a user gets, I think one of Robert's arguments was that when you unban a user, the banned user record is deleted. But that's fine. We're not calling anything on the unbanned user. We're just calling a worker. I haven't actually looked at the worker. Maybe we should do that to make sure there's nothing in there that's depending on things that we're not thinking of.
Isn't that worker part of the MR as well?
It is, yeah. It is part of the MR.
Yeah.
Okay. It calls banned user flag service, which is down. Oh my gosh, sorry, I'm just banned user flag service, which takes in a flag and then flag merge requests. This seems pretty much fine. Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, I don't understand that statement about the deleted banned user.
Yeah.
It's not being referenced anyway.
It seems like maybe Robert had an idea of what this refactor was going to look like, and there was a problem with that version in his head, and then we've come up with a different version. That's kind of where I'm heading right now. Because when he mentions defining it, I mean, the state failure changes, this is the big thing I'm not sure of.
Yeah. I think, what does the bang method, is that going to raise an exception if it's an invalid state transition? I can't remember how those things work.
User.ban. I guess we can look at spec ban service. Let's see. I guess this is a feature that my team owns. I'm not very familiar with it. Okay.
He is actually mentioning that a lot of work for BandUser is being done only via active record callbacks. So probably he's scared that if we start using the services, then we may not call the I don't know, some functionalities in a correct order.
Mm-hmm. But what is that functionality? Do you know, or do you have an idea?
No, I don't. I'll have to look into it. Let me just check.
And those are
Can I
callbacks
have
on.
the URL of this, Emma?
Yes, I'll put it in the chat here.
Thank you.
I know.
I think that bang method was me misremembering something. I just
Okay,
looked
so
at the,
it's
gave a quick look at the state machine README, and it doesn't seem to have the bang methods. So it's just the name of the transition.
Okay, but certainly it seems like user.ban is coming from state machine, right? And that goes to band.
To trigger the ban event.
Band to band. Okay. So create the band user. So I guess we could write a test in here. We can steal one of Robert's tests. Thank you, Robert, for doing all the hard work. And it flags merge requests. So it flags merge requests. It belongs to the user. We're gonna have to actually create a merge request for this user. My next great act in the style guides will be to say we shouldn't use that anymore. Just kidding. That is my dream, but I don't think
that is
that
is going to be a long fight.
I know.
Sorry, what was it again? What do you want to do?
I would support you, but it would be a long fight. Yeah.
I would like to get rid
no
of
more
our
lets,
use
no
of
more shared
let.
examples.
Yes.
Get rid of let completely.
Yeah, I know it's radical.
Don't use let. Yeah.
It's I know. It just makes for hard to read tests, I think.
Oh, I see. Like all flavors of let.
Yeah,
so
like
let it be as well. And
instead of let, we could have it right in the example. Every example would then, if you don't put it in a let, it sort of makes every example more an actual example of how to use the code you're testing.
Yeah.
So you see all the setup, all the dependencies, everything that's necessary for every step.
I'm 100% down with that. I think one of my pet hates as well is like redefining subject to the method call, which in my mind, subject is always the object under test, or it should be. And so inside you should call subject.method with the arguments. But we seem to have quite a common pattern where somewhere subject's redefined to something else. It's very
to dry up the method call again.
Yeah.
And then reuse some variable. Yeah.
Anyway, this is a huge side quest. Let's back on track.
Yeah, no, I love that side quest. I mean, I feel like that's my true dream. I mean, yeah, and I think for performance reasons, we kind of need LetItBe, but I have this suspicion that, sorry, I'm still on the side quest, I can't get off of it, is that like because we're so into lets, we're creating more data than we need for a lot of test scenarios. We're not recreating it with LetItBe, but then like sometimes we have to do LetItBe with reload, but I don't know. I just feel like we could.
I think one thing that I've seen is like cargo culting LetItBe, because LetItBe has a very specific use case of like, this is an expensive object to build like project. Whereas something cheap, let is better because the aspect cleanup cycle gets hooked in better.
Mhm.
But people just let it be everything, strings,
Yeah.
booleans, let it be just because
Yeah.
you're kind of
Integers.
copying and pasting.
I've seen
Yeah.
that as well. Had that on a review yesterday. Let it be 5. Okay.
But our docs do say like always let it be. I mean, that is the documented thing. And maybe it's an example. Like I agree that we shouldn't use it for an integer, but we have this interesting thing. I think with such a large team that works on the same code base, people tend to like really respect the docs like too much. It's like they should be reading them and then like maybe changing them. But I think people read them and they're like, okay, like this is what I should do. Leads to some interesting behaviors. Maybe we can add that to the docs. You don't have to let it be. Very
One
basic.
more query I had, that why are we not thinking of putting this worker in the after transition block?
After transition. Oh, like this one? Or after, yeah.
There's a block for after transition also, right? Active for unbanned
Yes.
here.
That's a good question. I guess the thinking I have is that this is a state machine related thing. Like it's kind of just a callback in different clothes.
Yeah, this looks like a callback to me as well. I'm also not very much familiar with the state machines actually, but I think this is I feel this happens once the transition takes place. It comes and calls back, executes the code block that we have mentioned there. I see
Yeah.
someone is actually using run after commit in the above after transition block.
Where
Yeah,
is that?
And just on line number 488 in someone is actually using run after commit here.
Sorry, Malcolm, I cut you off. I think I can see you, but I heard a voice.
I think basically if we're kind of taking a kind of moral stance on this change that like we don't want to put something into a callback, then if we put it into one of these callbacks, which they essentially are, the after transitions are just callbacks in your callbacks.
It's like we are at the end of the day we are using the callbacks when we are
Yeah,
yeah.
I think it's probably just a
That's true.
same thing by a different name.
Yeah. Got it.
And somebody did bring that up in the style guide MR. There was a pretty extensive conversation. Where was it? About state machine and machine. Yeah. And the conclusion was kind of like, yeah, state machines can be good, but also like maybe sometimes we would want to use something else because they can be confusing in a lot of the same ways that callbacks are confusing, where it's like things like you call ban and then like 18 things happen and it's hard to figure out where or how. But anyways, so this did come up already, and it's interesting this coming up in this conversation already. Maybe we should address this more explicitly in the guide.
I think it's one of those things where state machine has a use case for me that this banning and unbanning users is not necessarily the best place. Like state machine for me is like a linear workflow type things are a better fit for that.
Interesting. And because because the user can be unbanned, do you think it's not a linear process or doesn't fit into that?
No, maybe it is. I suppose we have a lot of other states, right? Deactivated, active. Yeah.
You do, but you can bounce around between different states. Like you're not always going through the same flow.
No, it does make sense actually. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, maybe we'll move this one next. So we have a test here where we create a merge request. It's not, the author is not banned. We ban the user, we reload it, and we expect the merge request author to show up as banned. Let's see if that works. I don't remember if to do anything special to say like run background jobs immediately or if that's the default behavior.
think that's implicit in our tests. Yeah.
It is? Okay. I have an extra end. Okay.
I'm pretty sure I have had to put that sidekick inline thing in somewhere.
I have
I don't remember where though.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a specific type of job or something. All those flags. By the way, did you know that if you put a flag in a test and it's misspelled, we just ignore it?
Yeah. I figured that out the hard way.
You did? Oh
When
no.
I tried to write SAS. and I actually wrote SaaS instead of software as a service. So and I was
Wait, the flag
I was
is
not
software as a
seeing it. I
service?
wrote SASS instead of
Oh.
SAAS.
Oh.
And I could not find the error. And I was just like stuck on it for like 3 hours. And I was like, I put the flag in there. Why is it not working? Why does it keep telling me I need to be in SAS? And then I finally noticed it and felt very, very dumb.
That's amazing. That's also sad, but like 3 hours on a typo is the saddest.
Yep.
What's happening here? Undefined method BandUser.
I think where you copied and pasted that spec from, that's probably a named subject.
BandUser method.
Line
53.
Oh my gosh. Thank you. So BandUser is defined. Where is BandUser defined? Oh, it's just you create a band.
A band user.
Oh, we don't need that then because we're not depending on that object. Haha. I was just creating the band user record, which we don't care about. We just need to make sure. Oh, but we do want to make sure that if we say recall band user, oops, not that. Band user. Then we reload the merge request. I think this should work. Yeah, the misspelling thing, I saw that there was an MR to add a Rubocop rule if you misspelled aggregate failures, because that's really hard to spell. And a lot of people have misspelled it.
It is. That is where I rely on autocompletion the most. That and vulnerabilities.
Oh, yeah.
Don't get me started. That's my team's work, vulnerabilities. I hate it. I'm trying to come up with a new name.
V8?
Someone suggested some VLNS.
Yeah, I think that was. I think V13, V10S or something was
something like that. Yeah.
Almost worse, the V10s.
Just like M9.
What is M9?
M9E is for maintenance.
Oh my god, I never heard that. I know accessibility.
I made that up last week because
you did
not spell it.
M9. I like that. And I only know of Kubernetes and then accessibility. 11Y.
Localization. That's the other one, right?
Internationalization, yeah.
Internationalization.
Oh, I never knew that's why it was I18N. I thought I never just considered it. I just called it I18N. Cool. Okay, I think we might need to run sidekick jobs inline here. But interestingly, they didn't have to here in order for this to pass. But
what does BandUser do in this case? Because if it's just creating that user, we don't have a callback, and then
well, it's calling
subject BandUser describe class.
Describe class new dot execute. So when you call BandUser, it should call this.
Is it because it's an asynchronous job? It's not.
That's what I was
We need
wondering.
to add the worker flag on the.
The
yeah, not
worker
sure.
flag, the what is true is this is for band service, not BandUser base service. That's fine. That's fine. This is band service. So we could put I mean, this is my main method of debugging. Is I'll
Yep.
put prime and see if it gets called. Is that good? Okay. Let's try this. See if it's even getting in there. Are we even in the right place? It is interesting if we have to run them inline, but they didn't in the model class. Good.
But I think you want to put a bybug into whatever the worker calls, right?
Yes. Well, I was just gonna see. Oh, I see. Well, let me just try to perform it and see if it errors out. Perform now. Doesn't work. Okay, so we can put a bybug in there and see if it gets in there. But we know it's getting into that, and then let's go in here.
I think even. Oh wait, well that one.
We can go inside here in the BandUser flag service.
Yeah, I think that would. Yeah, that's like definitely not going to get called if we don't have inline sidekick.
Okay. Okay, so I'll run this again, and if sidekick job is not executing, then we probably will never get to the fry. And then I will be interested to investigate. Oh shoot, I have a meeting. I have a coffee chat in 2 minutes, but oh yeah, I didn't get in there. So I think we have to call sidekick inline. Do we just do that like this?
Interesting. Spell it right though.
Okay. The thing with them, love him so much, but autocomplete not so good. Sidekick inline, does that look great? We'll see, I guess. Just like some wacky guesses. Yay! Look, we're inside. Nice. Okay, well, we didn't pass. That's fine. We can figure that out later. Okay, well, this was fun. We didn't complete our refactor, but learned some things from you all. So thank you for joining.
Thank you. It was a very good discussion. Like this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome.
Lots
awesome.
of
Well,
things.
thank you.
Also just
Okay. Have a
check
good day.
that
all
the
of you.
job is in queued. That might be enough in that case.
Make sure the job's in queued. Oh, okay.
Yeah, we don't probably actually need to run it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. Okay. I'll do that
Yeah.
later. Awesome. Thank you. Thanks,
All
y'all.
right.
See you later.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.